Hi, welcome to video lesson 4 for Multicultural Lit. In this particular lesson, I'm going to be talking a little bit about how to use Turnitin, which is how you are going to be submitting your first paper. Those of you who have used Turnitin in the past, this is mostly going to be a review, and so perhaps you don't need all of the information. You can just listen and make sure you're familiar with what you need to do. Or you can even just visit the website. I'm going to have the codes that you need to log into the new class, our new class for this year. And then at the end of the video, I'm going to show a little bit about how to find the academic honor code on the website. Many of you are already familiar with that, so this again should be a review. And mostly this is going to be sort of an on-screen tutorial, so you're not going to see any more of me. You're going to see screen shots sort of in action. On the days that we actually have computers in the classroom, I'll be walking around again and making sure everyone is clear with what to do. I also will have extended after-school help with laptops. So if you need any extra help with any of that, just let me know. And feel free to ask lots of questions, give it a try on your own, make sure you are in complete understanding of what's expected, and be successful in your first writing adventure for this class. And I hope this is useful. Let me know if there's anything else I can do to help. Thanks.
The first time that you use Turnitin.com, you need to create an account. And this is fairly straightforward, but every now and then there's a screen or two that confuses people. So I clicked on Create an Account. This is where things start to get confusing. If you've ever used Turnitin, they really want you to use the email address you used before and your password. And if you have created Turnitin account before, you should do this. And if you forgot, it'll walk you through some screens and you can get a password retrieved. But if you're brand new, you need to come down here and click on Student. Now the class ID, this is going to be the piece that's on my website. There are two different ones depending on which section you're in, B period or C period. So if we were going to do the B period one, we do 8669424. Class enrollment password is always the same for all my classes. It's Tiskus with a capital T. And then you need to put in your first name, your last name, and your email address. If you don't have a real email address, notice it's making me put something in here. We'll say test student. You can make an email address as long as it has the @ sign in it, edu or something like that. But you want to remember what you put in here for your email address. And I do have to say that Turnitin is pretty good about not inundating your mailbox with lots of extraneous emails. So I would recommend using your real email address. In addition to using your real email address, I have the ability to send an email to everyone in the class at once, which I do once in a while if there's a deadline or if there's a point in time when all the papers have comments available. We'll talk more about that later in the semester. And then a spot for your password. Again, just like any other website, make it something that makes sense to you. Maybe write it down in a secret location. And then they have a secret question and your question answer. And of course, your user agreement, which you're supposed to read through and say, I agree. The papers that you put in to Turnitin are yours. They belong to you. When the class is over, you can actually detach them, unlink them from the site, and I'm no longer able to look at them again. We can talk more about that if you've got specific questions. I just wanted to show you how you start your account. Okay, at this point, I'm ready to turn in my paper. I am once again navigating to my particular class, Multicult B, and you'll see there's in the assignment box, there is a paper that you can submit, and it has a start date, a due date, and a post date. You can hover over those and find out what it is that you can do with that. So the start date is today, September 15th, and the due date is September 19th at midnight. So if you have the means, you can also work after school, even though we have in-school time to work on it, but you can have all the way up until midnight. I also, you can't see this here, but I have set up the settings for the paper so that when you submit a paper, you can continue to overwrite it until the due date. And that can be helpful if you all of a sudden look at it and see this isn't the right paper, or you read it again, which is something many of us do, and then realize there was something you wanted to fix. But let's go through and walk you through the submission process. I'm going to click the submit button. And it gives me my first name, my last name, submission title. Any old title is fine. My paper. Do remember that I will be seeing these, so don't do anything really silly. I'm going to choose where my paper is coming from. I'm going to choose from this computer, but notice if you're using Dropbox or Google Drive, there are some other options, which is really great. Didn't used to be that way. So I'm going to choose from this computer. I have a flash drive in, so I'm going to go find that. Removable. And I'm going to go to WHS. I'm going to go to Multicultural Lit. And I have, well, this isn't actually the right paper, but for the purpose of a demonstration, I'll just throw this one in there. Open. And I can see my file name here. I say yes, that's the right one. I upload. This part usually takes a little bit of time, not too bad. Generally, it doesn't take 2 minutes. I'm going to get sort of a quick snapshot on my particular paper. And if I say, yep, that looks like the right one, I can hit confirm. This part is important. I think sometimes when people get tangled up, they see that the paper is there and then they think everything's fine. But you still have to hit the blue button down here, confirm, for it to actually go up. And it says your submission is complete. You definitely want to see those words. You will get an email receipt as well if you've used a valid email address. Then I can return to my assignment list. Last point I want to show you is notice how the button over here now says resubmit, and that's what I was talking about. If you worked on your paper some more, you could resubmit it. And you can also, there's a little note about the originality reports. I'll talk more about that at another point in time, but you can see what your own originality report looks like. I have set that up for my students. I always do it that way, so you can see what it actually looks like before you turn your paper in. And that becomes important much more so for research. This particular paper, as you know, is more of a personal story, more of your own narrative, and so we shouldn't be concerned about any sort of plagiarism, which is another topic to talk about at a different point in time. So I hope this was helpful. Don't forget that Turnitin has lots of tutorials for students, so if you get tangled up, check some of those out. There's lots and lots of information. Of course, always ask me if you need anything. Thanks. At this point in your high school career, you should be familiar with the academic honor code, but just in case you need a little bit of a refresher, I thought I'd point out how you can actually find the information on the school website. So if you go to Westfield High School main website, click on Handbook, and then right here is a PDF that you can download. I already downloaded it, so I'm going to show you my copy that's already on my desktop. And in the handbook, it's at page 20. You can see it right here. We have honor code on page 20. And basically, you should be doing your own work. That's really the easy part of it. But that does have the definitions. Cheating is pretty obvious for most people, copying off of somebody else. Plagiarism can be a little bit trickier because the the conversation involves making sure the ideas, the sequence of thought are your own. You're not passing it off or passing off somebody else's work as your own work. And it is true that turnitin.com can be used to track that and try to help teachers understand what work is their own students and what comes from other places. I generally use Turnitin to sort of view the quotations and see if that is being cited properly. I also find it's just very convenient to have a place where all papers are being submitted and a grade right on Turnitin, and it's extremely convenient for me, and it can be useful for students too, in that you are able to have an easy way to send a paper in and then go home and download it again from Turnitin and work on it some more and then resubmit if it's over a period of time. So if you've got any questions about the honor code or about Turnitin, please let me know.